Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to my channel. This is a channel to where I will be talking more of the lines about my addiction and about how I overcame addiction through my higher power, which is God, and how I got to the point to where I am. If you're new to this channel or you know somebody who's been addicted, hit the subscribe button and send them over to this channel. But anyways, uh, I'm 34. I started my drug use pretty early on. Uh, it started with I believe when I was about 12, 13, I started slipping around smoking weed, and I had a horrible childhood, horrible, but not real horrible. I mean, from the time I was about 10, and some things that went on in the house. I caught my dad in a particular situation that caused me a lot of problems at school. Didn't really know God, and started smoking weed and all that junk, really, because it ain't nothing to be proud of. But and then later on in life, um, I got introduced to pills. Then pills progressed to when I was around about 15. I started digging into the dope scene a lot more, and it became instead of getting high here and there, it started. I mean, just a minute as I shoved that needle in my arm, it went from being about the drugs to being about a needle or something to poke myself with. Then later on, it just became more or less balls to the wall on shooting dope. Didn't care. Um, it was horrible. I'd be at my home or in my apartment, have people around, and feel all alone because I knew them people. If I died, they wouldn't have gave two flies for me and called someone. They'd probably take the dope money out of my pocket and leave and just never to be heard. So today I surround myself with God-fearing people, people who go to church, but I keep that circle small as I can, really. And the smaller my circle is the better. If I got one true friend right now, I'm getting out there a little bit. Been sober 3 years. Uh, Ended up um, doing what we all do: go to jail. Went to jail. Then didn't know what way to wipe my butt, really, but never really knew how to get off dope. What it was I would go to church. I got introduced to church after a long time without going. Uh, I was staying with the man. More or less, he was a father figure that I never had. And while I had one, then he kind of moved away from the family stuff, and when him and my mom split ways, and it was hell. But the guy who pretty much adopted me, uh, I lied to him to get my foot in the door. And hold on one second. Talk to me real quick about, but just looking at that, to me, it seems completely arbitrary. I mean, I'm looking at. But anyways, I lied. It was at a pool hall where I met this dude because I started, and the person who I was staying with at the time wasn't too. There was something fruity about him, if you catch my drift. Nothing wrong with that, but I started noticing some things happening in my sleep that was so uncomfortable that, I knew something was going on. And then one night, I'd woken up and some stuff, and that morning I got up, went to this pool hall and was like, look, I'll work if you get me out of the situation that I'm in. I'd lied to him about some stuff, and it was sad, really. I had to lie to get out of the situation, but if I knew if I didn't, that I'd probably wind up in prison or something. And it was it was chaotic for the longest period of time. But he got me into church, started taking me, I should say, and for once, I felt like people accepted me for me and for nothing else. I felt like it didn't matter what my past looked like. It just mattered about making the decision to go. When I got thrown out of that situation because I started back on smoking weed and everything. And then later on in life, I had a child. I was 18. No, I was 20. Yep, I was 20. I'm 34. The boy's 13. I was 21. And it, I'd prayed for this child. I'd prayed, God, give me a child, give me a baby boy. That way, it will help me quit this madness that I'm in. And it didn't. It really didn't. It made things worse, really. But after he came along, I'd showed up at the hospital, tore up, and there was no stopping me. I was shooting dope 24/7, shooting anything that I thought would get me high. And after the child came, it started getting real spooky that I'd gotten this child into this life, prayed him through. But right then I knew that God was real. I knew that no matter what anybody could tell me, I knew God was real. Because how can you just you got a woman that shouldn't be able to have kids, and you're young, and you pray for something, and that everything that I wanted got answered. So I knew he was real. Well, this couple who I met at this church, very loving. I mean, I don't, yeah, I do. I know what it was. When I met them, it was just God. When you meet somebody and they're so sweet, but not so sweet that they wouldn't tell you anything to blow smoke up your butt behind. They was honest, and the love was like instant, and it was the greatest family that I could ever ask for. If I die now, I can say that I have the most wonderful and the most awesomest family that there is. Uh, Through my whole drug use, I mean, sometimes you have to show people tough love, and that's what they done. When I didn't want to come around, they didn't force me. When I was high, I refused to go around. The woman who I was with would still go around, and I felt like that was a slap in the face and a spit in their house, really. But I knew these people. I knew they couldn't have kids, and it's something that they desired. And because the woman would say, "I wish I could just have a child," um, and here I am. I'm a dope head. I'm an IV user, shooting up with water out of a mud puddle. Who has brought in another life? I mean, what can you say, really? Besides, hey, instead of for once being selfish in my life, I would rather see this child somewhere where he won't have to worry about nothing for the rest of the time that he's on this earth. I know he'll know Jesus, and I know he won't want for nothing. So my mom had this child, and she had a stroke. She wasn't real strong, but this woman came over with a big green box, shiny, sparkly. It's like, I want a kid. So I look at the woman who I was with. I'm like, look, this, I'm not going to quit shooting dope. I'll give them my part. Whatever you want to do is you. So she's like, well, I will too. Now, I can't tell you that it was easy. It eats at me every day from that point on. So we go, we give him this child, and they're like, look, we'll never stop you from seeing him. Never. It's on you. So it was on me from that point on to make it a point to have a relationship with him, to have a relationship with this child. At that time, I was thinking, I ain't got to quit doing dope. I can still have a relationship with them. How sick is that to know that I can still do dope and I can still have a relationship with these people who are awesome. They're awesome. And I've learned so much from them. And the one thing that I've learned, and I just told them, they have a podcast, Finding Freedom from Addiction. And it's awesome. It's on YouTube. Go look it up. Finding Freedom from Addiction. The host is Ken Metcalf. That's the guy. And I done a show with him, and it didn't turn out the best. I looked like a smiling freak, really. But anyway, the one thing that I've learned from them is no matter what people do, no matter what people are going to say, There's one guy who ain't gonna say nothing, who ain't gonna downgrade you, ain't gonna make fun of you, ain't gonna hold your past to you. And that's Jesus Christ. Because he went to Calvary and he got beaten. So beaten. And it was his own people who killed him. But he took all the sins of the world with him. But back to it. He's like, look, no matter what, don't give up on Jesus. So that stuck with me. And it always has. And it's crazy how God's worked for me in my life. So after that, went on several more years that I couldn't quit doing dope. Methamphetamine, that was my favorite drug. No other drug could touch it. And at this time in my life, me and my wife had split up. I got an apartment. She was just coming over, getting what she can get, and leaving. Because, the marriage was done. I had horrible, horrible memories of it. But I got good ones. I can't sit here and say it all was bad because I was the gasoline thrown on her fire, or she was the gasoline throwing on my fire. And she was married before me, but anyways, uh, God puts people in our lives to either make us stronger, to see where we're at, or to let us make free will, really, or to drag us down. And it's up to us to make that decision. So one day I'm sitting in this apartment. It's so cluttered. It stinks. Rigs laying all the way around. Dope everywhere. I was selling dope. I'd been selling dope for a while now. And I was at my wit's end because, I was starting to get sick. I was sick a lot. Having problems out my liver and everything else. But I went through my teeth. Uh, I finally figured out I can go get some teeth pulled and get some pills, and I'd sell them to get some meth. A sick individual, sick. I was one that would go to no extent to get what I wanted, and I promise you that. Still and hurt the ones closest to me, like we all have. Uh, but I would go beyond that and hurt anybody in my path to get what I wanted. I was so selfish. And I remember laying in this bed that was just eat up. It was eat up. Bed bugs, it was eat up. I'd had places on me. I was barely pushing 80 pounds. And I laid there and I remember the prayer just as I remember talking to my wife this morning. And I said, God, man, I want to quit so bad, so bad. Make a way for me to get away from the madness. And I didn't realize what I was praying. But I'd remembered that time to where I prayed for a baby. And this God gave me a child. I was praying to that God. And I remember that guy speaking to me. I remember Ken looking over and saying, no matter what, don't give up on God. Because what has God done to you? Uh, Nothing really, but gave you life, gave you freedom of choice to either serve Him or serve the darkness. And I believe in demons. I believe in people can get demon possessed to where they go out here and choose they don't choose to kill some, but the demon inside them kills other people. It's it's a dog eat dog world, really. But it I remembered that. But when I made that prayer, I felt I just had a feeling that hey, everything's gonna be all right. I didn't realize I didn't like the way it ended, but hey, it got me to where I am. And well, it was several months later, like 4 or 5 months later. Uh, I go get my dough, take most of it to the house. Had to take some of it to this trailer park. Dumped the rest of it off at my house, and I was going to get a slushy. Well, I didn't make it home that day. I winded up at the free free hotel downtown. 3 meals a day. Uh, did not like it at all. But when I got in there, I said, "Look, Matt, we're going to play this smart. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to use whatever offer they give me for a furlough, or if I can get 6 months, I'm going to take it. No, I ain't going to take no more than 6 months. Remind you, I'm in jail for trafficking 2 counts of methamphetamine. I don't know why I thought I could get 6 months, but hey, I had high hopes, and it was amazing. Here I am sitting in the hole, what they call the hole, in a little cell by myself until they start bringing other people in. When I get upstairs and the withdrawal from the Suboxone, from the other dope, I wanted to sleep, couldn't because of the meth. Is the reason I was tired. The Suboxone was coming out of my bones. Hey, I'm not knocking people on Suboxone. It's helped me the past 3 years. I'm finally going through the phase where I'm doing like an eighth every 2, 3 days. But that's not. That's besides the point. Totally besides the point. So yeah, they take me upstairs. Put me in the cell with some guys who I knew. Um, now I had a look. I was very fortunate, that I had people praying. Had people, that left me in there to that way I could find out what I was going to do when I got out. This thing ain't going to work out right. But anyways, and it was crazy. Cause I remember, man, I'm gonna get in here with some guys who don't know me, and it's gonna be bad. Got up there, knew everybody in there just about. Uh, some guys who I was in the madness with, and there was one guy in there. I was really kind of glad he was staying with me at the time when he got picked up. You know how rumors spread. Oh, Matt locked him up, whatever. So I got in there, and his name's Anthony. And hey, started reading the word to me. Just started praying, and it was the same God. I'd been praying downstairs in the hole, praying that God would get me out of there, but it wasn't a sincere prayer. So I lay in there 4 or 5 months, or I don't know, 3 months. And so I go to court. My first offer, 1-1. No, I don't want it. I want 6 months. So after I reject that, I go back, lay up another month, and go back to court. Well, I'm like, look, the only way I can do drug court, 'cause people's in there, man, you can get out within 30 days of them accepting you. Well, I said, perfect furlough. I can get out, get high for a little bit, bring some stuff on in here. And I got drug court, and well, the day I was getting released, this whole time I was thinking about going out, getting high for as long as I could, and just living my life. But when I walked out, I had my dope dealer's wife sitting there. She was in there to see the big dope dealer. And she was like, look, if you need me, call me. I said, bet. What's your number? Got her number. And as I'm walking from the courthouse over to what they call drug court, something just came across me. It was like, look, you've done dope this long. And look where it's got you. I didn't have my son. I was broke. I didn't have no homies coming to see me in jail. I didn't have people there like what that so-called homies want to think. There's no true friends. The only true friend that anybody can have is in Jesus. He'll never let you go. I mean, I pray anytime I prayed sincerely and it came straight from the heart. He's been there. And I get over to drug court and I'm like, look, I ain't got nowhere to stay. I'm gonna be staying here and there. Well, I go find a place to stay. And I ended up at the church that I go to this day. It ain't the perfect church by far. Have I been church hurt there? Yeah, I have. But have I got more blessings from there than church hurt? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And God will use anybody. He used a murderer in the Bible, Paul. I mean, he used a donkey to speak to somebody. But anyways, it's chaos, and for some reason, I got into this rehab and done awesome, I've met my best friend who I talk to every day, 5 and 6 times a day. His name's Ernie. I speak to my family quite often. My family is in the people who has my child because my family's never really been there. And I mean, I have a great now. My oldest, he comes over. We play the game. I go over there, hang out. I mean, this is something that nobody could have done but God, Jesus Christ. And, you know, like my headline, how did I go from drug addict to God fearing person? And the answer to that is just at first playing the church game. Am I glad that I played it? No, but I did. And somewhere along there, between my first time going and up until I got into rehab over there, I learned that that God is real, and that no matter what, if I pray something from the heart, it's got to come from the heart, and you have to mean it, that He will listen. And He might not answer. He won't answer it right there. He can, but for me, He has never answered it right on Johnny on the spot. But He's answered, and He's let me know it's come from Him. It didn't come from man. It didn't. He might use somebody to confirm what I've been praying, but it ain't came from man. And today I can sit here and say I have my oldest son. He's 13 in my life. I have Ken in my life. Who has him? That's the man. I have the woman in my life, Angie. And I have one friend, true friend. I'm trying to build up on that and get me a couple more church going friends or sober friends that. And hey, it's been 3 years. I messed up once, went back out, and didn't like it at all. But for 3 consecutive years, I got busted in 2018. I relapsed in 2020. I forget what month. March. Yeah. Or February. February, March. Because we had a kid. I got a 3-year-old that God had sent me again. I mean, I prayed for it. I said, God, I'm sober. Can you give me another chance to be the dad that I didn't get to be? And hey, He's answered that one. Now I ain't gonna tell you that there's some things I pray that I don't need. It's just a want. But the Bible says if we pray for something that we need, He will provide all our needs to us. It might not be like what we want, but it'll be the needs that keeps us surviving. And here's something else. You know, when I did give these people my child, I had people coming up to me from all over the drug scene, the church scene, the street scene, all over. How much did you get for your child? It was so heartbreaking because somebody thought that I was such a dope head that I would charge somebody for my child. But no, God used a dope head to start me a family. God started my family when I first met them people. Then He used our relationship to bless them with their own family that they could have never had. That's what God can do, not man. Man can't do nothing. Nothing without God. But that's a little bit of my story. I'll be popping on and off on this channel. I'm going to say once a week. I'll either be telling my story or I'll have somebody else with me to speak about God and addiction. That goes hand in hand together because I believe that you can't get sober without a higher power. Well, the big book, the NA book, whatever book you want to look at tells us that. We have to have a higher power. And for me, that's Jesus Christ, God. And I really hope that somebody can see this and maybe just think if you see this video and you're having a child and you're suffering from postpartum, suffering from whatever, I just ask you not to go and get an abortion because I promise you that there's someone out there. There's someone out there who can't have kids, who's dying to have a kid. To be able to have a kid is a miracle. Not all people can, but they would be more than glad to take that child and raise it, in such an environment. Some find a good Christian family who don't have kids, and hey, what else can my oldest, he knows Jesus, doing good in school. What else can I ask for? I mean, but that's just a little bit. Like I said earlier on, if you all want to hear, it's different from this podcast all the way around. I encourage you to go to Finding Freedom from Addiction. Uh, it's a great podcast. He brings and I know most of them. He brings these people on and they tell their story, and it's amazing what he's doing. Really, Finding Freedom from Addiction. Uh, it's Kenneth Metcalf is the host of it. He's awesome. He's a God fearing man. He loves Jesus Christ. And I would encourage everybody just to go check it out. Hey, if you don't like it, you ain't got to follow it. You ain't got to subscribe. Just like this channel. I'm just doing this because I got a lot of time on my hands. And I hope to encourage somebody out there that to maybe give church. If you ain't never went to church or anything, give it a chance. If that one don't work, go to another one until you find one that will. The one that I've been going to, hey, been going there since 2009, off and on, and heavy since I've been sober since 2018. And like I told you, I mean, I've been church hurt. I've been everything in the world. I've been called everything in the world to this church. But you know what? It ain't about the people. It ain't even about the building. It's about you starting something starting something with something greater than you, something bigger than you. And I had the question the other day, how do you even know God's real? Well, look, I would rather take a chance on putting my faith in something that this right here has told me about. And it's King James Version. I would rather put myself in a position to where, hey, if there's no such thing, I ain't got nothing to lose. It's just helped me be a better person. But I believe there's a kingdom in heaven waiting on us all. And I encourage everyone to, if you know somebody in addiction, don't give up on them. Do not give up on them, because them are the times in their life that they need you. They need the prayer. They need somebody to show them unconditional love, because I know that works, because that's what happened to me. And hey, yeah, they're going to hurt you. They're going to do whatever and say whatever to get their way. And you're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt their feelings. But look at it like this. Would you rather them be hurting you and back and forth than to see them in a daggone grave? I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's honest. Hope everybody has a great day. And remember, Jesus loves you, and you can get sober. just find your higher power. God bless you.